Welcome back to the Shell V-Power Motorsports Park. This is one that a lot of people always look forward to. It's improved production, the South Australian improved production series. And cars are out there on the formation lap. It's a big field of cars. And a familiar couple of names up the front of the field. Adam Poole in his Monaro car number 1. The champion starts from position number 1 ahead of Scott Cook in his Nissan Silvia. Jared Tonks comes out of position number 3 alongside Andrew Butcher. Lots of familiar names if you watch the Victorian improved production quite regularly. A lot of these names will be familiar to you. Jason Palmer in his BMW E30 is always out of position number 5 alongside Christopher Reddin. Anthony Norris in his popular Datsun 1200 starts alongside Andrew Cogan in his BMW M3. Havinger comes out of 9th in his Clio Cup car. Then Ian Statham in his Mitsubishi Magna. Car number 6 is Bird. Alongside him is Jim Myhill in another Mitsubishi Magna. Neil Crow comes out of 13 in his Commodore. Mark Kempser in another Magna out of 14, ahead of Wayne Twist and Robert Kilmartin. Final 2 rows are made up of Matthew Wright, Braden Cogan, Peter McLean and Brett Waters. Really great field of improved production cars here this weekend. It's certainly going to be hard fought up the pointy end of the field. But can anyone beat the man in car number 1, Adam Poole? Everywhere he goes, he is always at the front. Didn't take part in round 1 at Malala Motorsports Park, but at round number 2, he is back and right at the front of the field. It's Poole alongside Cook, Monaro against Silvia, and then on the second row, it's a Commodore alongside a BMW E30. So this should be a cracker of a race.
So a national champion is actually on pole position here, which is Adam Poole, and he has got a very good record here at this track. And he'll be tough to beat. Good to see Scott Cook off the front as well. Silvias have also got a very good record here at this track as well. And the start will be interesting here. 2 very different horsepower style cars. And looks like Poole's going to get the job done down to turn 1. Gee, that's the Tonks car on to split that pair from the start. And so...
He really got a great start.
He did.
Blasted past Cook just in sheer horsepower, but this is where the Cook machine will be strong in the twisty corners.
Jason Palmer was good there too. I just picked up a position there as well. It's the BMW, or the Warsteiner livered car, which is... That's a bit behind them as well. Currently the president of the Improved Production Racing here in South Australia. A good start as well. Oh, a bit of a slide job there in the Subaru WRX. That's Sam Bird going down through there. Only his second race meeting as well.
Butcher lost a place there on the opening pit straight. And here we go. Bad run there from Poole. Made a mistake at turn number 6 on the cement dust. And that left him vulnerable to Tonks down into turn number 7 and 8. Another change of position. McLean on the outside of Cogan. McLean was actually towed back into the lane, a cause of a red flag in qualifying early on today. But fortunately that car has been repaired and is back out on track. And now Tonks has gone from attacking to defending. But fortunately for him, the straight into turn number 13 is just enough for him to pull a margin and not be threatened by the number 26 Nissan driver of Cook. But around this tight section of the course, that Nissan is certainly the faster of the 2 beasts. But as soon as they exit turn number 15, Tonks will put the hammer down and will pull away from the Nissan as they go down towards 17. How late under brakes can the Nissan be? Very late is the answer. Up the inside at turn number 17. Maybe in a bit too deep. No, nicely judged. And will hold that position for not for long. The sheer horsepower allows Tonks back up the inside into 18, but a big crank of oversteer. That's going to affect Tonks' run all the way down the straight. But even still, even with that bad exit, the big V8 cannot be matched in the straight line. And Tonks retains take second place on the run towards turn number 1. And that's one of the great things about improved production, isn't it? It's the toing and the throwing between different cars' strengths and the weaknesses.
Oh, that's exactly right. But it all pans out in the end. It ends up being
Yes.
quite even
Yeah.
after the lap. And that's what you come to expect from this style of racing. I was just having a look at Matt Wright. He's in the... what's going on here?
Now, just see the course car.
I thought it was a safety car for a reason. But there's Paul there. I was keeping a close eye on the 14 car, which is Matt Wright, started a long way back. He should be able to pick a few up. And on the inside, Cook in the side of Tonks down there at turn 6. Quite a few Victorians involved in this South Australian Challenge here this weekend. There's a couple of them there. Victorian there of Garrett Tonks there, the 91 Commodore. Scott Cook's got a very good record here too. Does his best racing here. His last race meeting was actually at the Bathurst Easter meeting.
You missed a titanic moment there for Tonks. Just about kept it facing in the right direction, but he had a bit of an off-track excursion through the paddock, 2 wheels sliding out sideways, but just about to that held on there. But they have changed from position. These two have changed positions.
That's Andrew Butcher.
Butcher has overtaken Palmer in the fight for 4th position. You'd almost call it the BMW class with these two out there. But yeah,
two very different BMWs.
Correct.
It's Matt Wright there in the not normal one, Datsun 120Y, by any stretch of the imagination. A long way back in the field there. I thought he might have been a bit closer from the qualifying session. And there's the Palmer and Butcher challenge. Palmer putting the challenge out. It's a beautifully presented race car, that number 3 car.
I'd be familiar to some people watching that. I'm sure I've seen that somewhere. You have probably in Touring Car Masters. There's been an invited Touring Car Masters on a number of occasions, including on the streets of Adelaide late last year. It sounds absolutely glorious as it comes down pit straight. We'll have a listen. Sounds absolutely lovely.
Good to see Chris Redden in another one of the Silvies there just behind him. He's been off the scene for quite some time, so good to see Chris back there in the Adelaide Vehicle Centre entry there. And that's a challenge to the rear of the field, the 47 car. I think that's Luke. He's the 47. That is Luke Avenga in the Peugeot there. He had, he's got it in front of him there. Well, Matt Wright was involved there in the McLean car also in that group. Here's the other group we're just talking about. So it's Butcher, Palmer, Redden currently 4th to 6th position there. That's where the challenge lies here at the moment. So obviously Palmer very much stronger under brakes there down at turn 6. So he gets that right behind the Epilepsy Foundation entry there of Andrew Butcher. That's a foundation livery that he's carried for his career for quite some time. And so the two BMWs fighting it out as they head down the back of the circuit there at around turns 9 and 10. And right down the eastern side of the circuit. As they sweep back down and go back up the hill. There's the McLean entry, that's the 286 there. Back a little bit further, I think, and we'll go back, cut back to this one here with Butcher, Palmer and Chris Redden in the all-red Nissan Silvia there.
Redding in the red machine.
Yes, that's dead right. Chris hasn't been a regular part of this South Australian series for some time, so as I said, great to see that car back in circulation here. And Silvia, as I mentioned before, got a great record here at this circuit. Butcher really starting to get away from Palmer there down that part of the circuit too. But under brakes is Palmer's strong, much lighter car. Get on the brake pedal much later there. And come around turn 18 and look back towards our position here. So no change in there. Anthony Norris a little bit further back just behind that pack. That's the number 12 Grand Auto Parts Datsun 1200. So he's a little bit off the pace as well.
Palmer actually won the opening round. There's quite a few less vehicles at round 1. We didn't have Paul, Cook, or Tomps, or even Butcher as well. So yeah, Palmer really dominated round 1, 2 wins and a third. And the number 14 machine pulling out there. That's in Matt straight, Wright. But no straight line speed compared to the car ahead of Kilmartin. The number 48 car pulling away in the Mitsubishi down there in towards turn number 1. But the fight for 4th continues. They're very evenly matched, these guys. So last time through, Butcher a 2:10.1, Palmer a 2:10.4, and Reddin a 2:11 flat. So pretty evenly matched between those guys. And out there as well, now we are looking at the Subaru Impreza of Bird.
Sam Bird there, his second raceman. He's got another long-time stalwart improved production race. They're making a comeback this season. Jim Mile. Great to see Jim back in, well, the ever-popular Mitsubishi Magna. There's plenty of them in this field.
We should say it's not the Sam Bird Formula E McLaren driver.
No, it's not.
It's another Sam Bird. Sam
actually comes from our rally scene here in SA. The car was actually set up for a rally spec, as we would expect from a Subaru WRX, and it decided to join the improved production racing group here this season. Didn't do too bad at round 1. He was pretty consistent. So we'll see how he goes here at his first look, actually, under race conditions of this track. There's Butcher.
I was going to say the other Sam Bird is racing in Formula E this weekend. Big weekend, isn't it? A motorsport, Formula 1 Monaco, 500, and then the big one, the South Australian Motor Racing Championships, of course.
Oh, good to see you blowing that up nicely there, Dan. Let's have a look. That's still the Andrew Butcher car there leading. There's been no change for those positions. In fact, Butcher now has actually widened the gap between him and Jason Palmer. Let's have a look to the car 44 there. That's one of the BMWs there, and I think that's the Andrew Coogan car.
All right, slow in the Datsun. Right is slow. He's pulled off the road on the exit of turn number 15. But clearly some sort of mechanical drama, lost drive or something. Very nicely done. Pulled out of harm's way so he can continue under green flag conditions. But that's a real shame for Wright, who was running reasonably strongly, but has plummeted down the order and will be classified as a non-finisher in this one. 3 minutes left on the clock. This race has absolutely flown by. Paul leads by nearly 11 seconds. We've got another slowing car.
Sam Bird looks like he's heading for the pits here.
Hazards on. So yeah, some sort of mechanical issue, and as you say, into the lane. So we were all running quite strongly, and all of a sudden they're dropping like flies late on.
He just not too sure which way to go, they're left or right there.
Oh, Palmer's out in the weeds out there in the dirty stuff. I think he was trying to line Butcher up for a move around that section of the course. But if you get out wide at turn number 12, Crofty Corner, you get all marbles on your tyres, understeer, oversteer, and you're just out sailing out there. It really does handle like the boat when you're out there on the dirty stuff. It really is a one-line groove around that part of the course.
You can think of one of the light 1 under 2 litre cars there. I think I called him a who's in the 47 car. It's actually a Renault. I think I might have called that a Peugeot a little earlier on. It's actually the Renault Clio Cup car there. There it is, the 47 car. Hasn't done a lot of racing, Luke, so haven't seen him too much in this particular series.
It does look like Peugeot.
No, that's Brett Waters. That's the other car.
I was going to
That's
say.
the 308 car. That's the under 2 litre car. And that's a new car also for this series for this season. He's had quite a collection of Peugeots, certainly in this series, over quite a few series now. He's been around in the under 2 litre class for some time. Goes under the banner of Frog Stomp Racing. Of course, reflecting the French connection there.
Yeah, absolutely. Down into the turn. Big send up the inside for number 19 of Wayne Twist. Has a big look at Kilmartin. Can't make it stick there. And there is the little Renault Clio that you're talking about. P plate on the back. So they swing it into the final corner. Less than a minute left on the clock now. Nice run through there for the Clio, but he's going to be a bit down on power compared to these two. The Magna and the BMW down the straight. And I'm seeing Crow is also tumbling down the order now in the number 90
That's
machine.
in the early model Commodore. Yeah, so too sure what's happened there either. If we get towards the end of this race. Race leader, no problems. Still got Paul Cook there, the dominant ones at the moment. Tonks, so they're in a world of their own. Butcher, Redden, Norris in that order. Palmer dropped back a couple of spots, as you mentioned. This is the Looks like the Rob Kilmartin car there in front of Wayne Twist, the Victorian. Interesting to note, I didn't see an Ian Statham start in this race either. Long-time SA stalwart here in the Mitsubishis.
Qualified, but yeah, as you say, DNS for him. So we look a little bit further down the order, the continuing fight between the Magna, the BMW, and the Clio behind, and this the fight for 11th, so just outside of the top 10. And we're hearing that the race leader, Poole, has commenced the final lap of the race. The lead margin's come down pretty significantly in the last couple of laps, so I think a mistake the lap before last. The margin down from 10 seconds to 2.5. But it wasn't last lap where he lost the time. 2 minute 4.6 is only 1.2 seconds slower than Cook. Must have been the lap before that, unbeknownst to us and unspotted by us. A mistake from
And there
Poole.
he is. There's our race leader, and he's on his final lap. And got a very impressive record here. In fact, probably a few other tracks around Australia. Of course, won the Improved Production Nationals in Sydney last year, and that's the reason we see the #1 badge on the side of that TRP ductwork Monaro there, heading down towards the back of the circuit.
A winner of the South Australian Improved Production Series as well in 2018. Pretty sure he won an Improved Production Championship in Victoria. I think it was 2022. So yeah, everywhere he goes, he is at the front. And he's got the one on the side as the national champion from last year. And he is really held off Scott Cook, 4-time state champion, off very easily in this race. That Monaro is something quite special, and is one of the true forces of improved production racing around the nation. And South Australia is lucky to call this guy a local. Turns into the penultimate corner. It's been a dominant race, 1 victory with one unforced error that we haven't quite seen. But despite that, he's going to take the race victory. Poole does it in race #1 here at the Shell V-Power Motorsport Park. And then a gap back to Scott Cook in position #2. There he is.
Just goes past, and then it's a long way back to Jared Tonks there. And they'll just find the checker flag right about this moment.
There he goes.
There he goes. And then it'll be Andrew Butcher, so the 2 Victorian competitors in the South Australian Championship there.
But look at these 3. They still continue their fight. They achieve speeds in all different areas. That's what we were talking about early on. But look at the Clio in this back section of the course. Really hones in on both of these cars. Twist going slightly defensive into turn #13. I'm not sure he needs to do that. The 47 behind is nowhere near close enough to make a move. But nevertheless, that's going to cost him momentum up the hill.
Oh, a finger out in the grass there, so he'll lose considerable ground there. Just coming down inside of turn 14.
Threw everything at it, but a bit too much, and ran wide through turn #13.
Gone across. Chris Redden's gone across the line in 5th position. Anthony Norris Palmer all the way back to 7th position. Kempster will be the first of the Magnas there. And we're looking at another Magna there, that's Rob Kilmartin. And they're going to be the next group to go through. Jim Myhill's gone through.
Good run from Twist, but the straight line speed of that Magna means he is not going to be vulnerable into the final corner. And across the line, the number 48 machine does hold on. Probably the hardest 4th to 11th place he'll ever have. Holding off Twist and Havinger there on a final lap thriller. And then the rest of the field come through. The 101 machine, McLean, after a challenging qualifying, car was repaired after being towed back to the lane and finishes in 16th ahead of Kogan, who rounds out the 17 finishers. Sam Bird, Wright and Statham, the DNFs and the DNSs in that one. So Poole taking it in the end by 6.8 seconds from 4-time State Series champion Scott Cook. Jared Tonks coming home in 3rd, the Victorian, ahead of Andrew Butcher. Big gap between those 2. Beyond Butcher was Reddin in the number 8 machine. Anthony Norris, in car number 12 in 6th. Jason Palmer fell down late on and came home in 7th. He was fighting Butcher for 4th at one stage So the E30 coming home in 7th, ahead of Mark Kempster, Andrew Cogan, and Jim Myhill rounding out the top 10. Beyond that, Robert Kilmartin in the Magna, then Twist and Havinger, who we saw in the final lap. Brett Waters in the Peugeot 308 in car number 308 in 14th. And Neil Crow, Peter McLean, Braden Cogan, and then the non-finishers. Good to see that Neil Crow did finish that race. We saw him plummet down the timing at one stage there, but did finish in position number 15, which is great news. So that was the 20 drivers in improved production. Improved production South Australian series heading out onto the racetrack. Great field of cars here this weekend. Quite a few making the trip over from Victoria, which is really, really good to see. A contingent of Victorians making their way over the border here to the Bend Motorsport Park. It's not really too far from the border, really. Only about 2.5 hours drive from the actual Victorian South Australian border. I'm Dan McCarthy. Alongside me is Martin Ancaro. We really were sporting race one. It was brilliant racing and improved production.
Certainly is, and I reckon we'll see the same. Let's have a look at our grid, and our dominant winner, of course, from the previous race was Adam Paul in the TRP Duckwork Monaro. Alongside of him with Scott Cook, how they started in the first race. And we go back to the two Victorians. It's the Commodore of Jarrett Tonks and the BMW M3 there of Andrew Butcher and the Epilepsy Foundation entry. Go back to Chris Redden in the Adelaide Vehicle Centre, Nissan Silvia. Then we go alongside of him will be Anthony Norris, the Grand Auto Wreckers entry. Let's go back to Jason Palmer in the BMW E30. Alongside of him with the first of the Magnas there, will be Mark Kempster in the 34 car. 44 of Andrew Coogan in the BMW M3. Jim Myhill got inside the top 10 in the last race. You'll start in position 10 in car 49. Another one of our Magnas there, and Rob Kilmartin. He'll have Wayne Twist alongside of him in the BMW E46. Luca Vinga in the Renault Clio Cup car. Then we go back to Brett Waters in the Peugeot 308. Then it's the early model V8 Commodore there of Neil Crow. Peter McLean will be out there in the Subaru BRZ in car number 101. And with Brad Cogan in the second of the blue BMW M3s. Alongside of him should be Sam Bird. Failed to finish the last race, as did Matt Wright in the big beefed up 120Y Datsun Coupe. We'll see if those cars do make a reappearance here. It's all been Adam Paul. We were talking about this before, how dominant he is at this track. And of course, all other tracks around the countryside. Of course, we know that he is our current improved production Nationals champion, and that's why he wears the #1 badge on the side of the door. And it's good to see that. I can just see the 14 car coming around there of Matt Wright, so that's good news. Very also good. We failed to finish the first race, but pulled the car into the infield, so he'll be hard charging back through the field. And a very fast little race car back at the rear of the field.
Look at the weather. It's hard to believe we are 1 week away from winter. It's been absolutely gorgeous weather conditions so far.
Scary, isn't it?
This week. It is frankly. Yes.
It's very dry conditions here in South Australia at the moment. I think we've had our driest start in this state for 100 years. I think that was mentioned earlier on. It's very void of any sort of rain, but we'll take it because there's obviously good racing conditions. The car's just coming around here for improved production racing here.
We are hearing that the car set to start from 4th position. Butcher has come into the lane, and there it is, straight into the garage. That is not a good sign at all. And also Sam Bird not making the start of this one in the number 6 machine. So we're already 2 down, and we haven't even got to the green flag yet in this one. So flag waving at the back of the grid. Grid position number 4 vacant because of the missing BMW E36. But it's going to be hotly fought, this one. Can anybody, though, match Poole? We saw Cook take it to him early on in race number 1, but once Poole was ahead and broke away, he could not be stopped. Tonks and Cook should be a good battle for position number 2. And then Reddin, Norris, Palmer, all I expect to be fighting for
Reddin should have anybody 4 in front of him.
No, he won't.
So he's going to get a clean run through. We'll have a look at that red Silver in just a moment. Come through. Cook got the... actually, it was Norris that had the vacant position in front of him. Cook flew off the start, and Tonks did a bit of the same, and he'll go to the front down inside of turn 1. And Cook tucks in behind him, but it's not going to be too long. We see that big 6-litre Monaro come into its own here. It's the Crow early model VH Commodore there in the build look entry, having his first run also at this complex this weekend. So they all get through safely, but the winner of that start was Tonks, who we're leading them at the moment. And that's the case with front of Cook, Paul, Palmer, and Chris Redden there in the Adelaide Vehicle Centre, Sylvia, cleanly as well. And there's Anthony Norris in the Grand Auto Records, Datsun 1200, and got through there okay.
Tonks ran really wide. I just caught it at the top of the shot, and he's being hounded by Cook. And here is the Nissan Silvia all over the tail. This is where Cook is particularly strong as well. We saw these two fight for second in the last one. This time they're fighting for the lead. There is still so much rubbish and debris on the track from the 86 race just before. Not actual debris, but in terms of dust and grass and dirt on the tyres. That's exactly will be causing them a loss of grip. But it's the number 91 at the moment that is just holding on from the number 26 machine. And our race 1 winner, the dominant race 1 winner in pool after the poor start, has sort of recalibrated, got things back together, reset, sits in third, and will be looking to quickly make his way past these two. But at the moment, he's not yet on their tail. Tonks leading the way in the number 91 Commodore. Second, Cook in the Silvia, and then the Monaro of Poole. Watch how quick, though, the Monaro is in a straight line.
He'll be loving it at about this point. You get him in a straight line, he'll be screaming down the Mun straight. Tonks has also got the V8 power as well. And Cook, there he goes on the outside. He'll get past Cook here. Too much horsepower in a straight line. Depends how he brakes here at turn 1, and he gets that pass done quite comfortably. Might be long before he'll be on the back of Tonks as well. Jason Palmer comes through there with Chris Redden just behind him. Now currently in 4th and 5th position. I think Anthony Norris should be 2 back off that pair. There he is. Right on that tail there. Chris Redden having some time away from racing for some time to concentrate on some business interests, and it's good to see him back here this weekend. And here we go, down at turn 6 now. We know that Paul will probably get past him certainly on the far side here. There's the rod and gun entry there of Jarrett Tonks. And be very close here, the consecutive right-handers down there at the northern part of the circuit. And down to turn 10 they come. And this is where Paul will open up here. Horsepower down this back part of the circuit. Little kink in the road there, which is actually turn 11. You can't actually see it on our broadcast there, but a little bit of a tricky. Oh, Cook a little bit wide there as well. And Paul trying to give him some track position here on the inside, and no problems.
Good move.
Got it done as clean as a whistle there as they head down into 14, back inside the complex here, the stadium look at the track here. They come back in, we have a good look at it. They come out behind the fence. And away he goes, and this probably should be it. I would have thought, because it's pretty much what we saw in the first race. That's the Subaru there of McLean, which he's got, that looks like a 47 car, Luca Vinga. Back a little bit further in the pack there. And
it's the fight for 14th position on the road. So Vinga has overtaken the number 14 on this lap. Or has the number 14 got the 101? I think the 14 of Wright has got the 101 on the backside. It has. A mistake, an unforced error for McLean. And that's going to allow the Clio through nice and easy into turn number 18.
And Redden doing the same with Palmer. Just saw that out of shot down there at turn 1. There, saw the silver dart up on the inside there. Not sure if he made that position stick, but he certainly had a fair dive there, Chris Redden. Cars coming down the main straight. Look at Matt Wright's picked up a couple of spots there too, as you would have expected. Wayne Tiss, the Victorian there. Good to see him back at this track. Haven't seen him here for a little while. And go back to, here we go, this is what I was talking about before. And Redden trying to get up on the inside of 6. Or pushes Palmer a little wide there. And Redden gets a little bit unsettled there on the exit there off turn 6. Climb up to 7 there. So still Palmer. And Chris Redden in that order. Currently in 4th and 5th position on track. Sylvia's got a very good record here. This track we see Scott Cook up near the pointy end of the field. Haven't got quite as many Sylvias in the championship this year as probably what we saw a couple of years ago here. Dom Capola missing from action this year as well. It was another one of the Sylvias involved with this group as well.
Pull out front has marched away. 1.4, in fact 2.4 seconds faster than anybody last lap through, and that included his overtake on Tonks, so he has pulled out a significant margin already, and will continue to extend that as the fight continues. The 8 up the inside of Palmer. Palmer leaves him room but runs a little bit wide as a result. And the number 8 now will have the inside into turn number 18 and takes 4th position.
Oh, has he?
Yeah.
Oh, I think he has. So he's got past Jason Palmer, so gets up into 4th position.
Cook's got past Tonks as well for 2nd, but that may have reverted back around down the straight. Speaking of reverting back around, Palmer swings it back up the inside and retakes 4th place, runs in a bit deep. Great cutback, great racing from Redden, really read that situation well and makes it back up the inside out of turn 2 and into turn number 3. That's what you call the old switcheroo.
Switcheroo. And he's done that beautifully, and he gets away down to turn 6. Certainly got some pace, Chris Redden. There's no doubt about that once he gets some clean air. And you can see the gap down just on the entry there to 6. Gets away from Jason Palmer. Pushes a little bit wide. In fact, Palmer does a bit of the same. Why Apex is down there at turn 6.
Holden from Sylvia out there on the racetrack at the moment. Then a BMW in 5th position. But great to see the Nissans really taking it to the fight this weekend against the Commodores. Against the Holdens. There's one Commodore driven by Tonks, but of course the pool car is a Monaro, and the Monaro has a bit of racing history in this country as well. Of course, back in the 1960s and 70s with Norm Beachy, and then also as well
You're not old enough to remember that, surely not.
No, certainly not.
A bit before my time as well.
But also in the noughties as well, winning the Bathurst 24 hour with GRM 1-2. Finished 1 year, but GRM and the Monaros winning both editions of the Bathurst 24 hour. But there's another make or a different era of Holden. Out there looking at the Crow machine.
That's the VH Commodore there, one of the early model Commodores with Neil Crow behind the wheel, one of our Victorian competitors, the Build Look entry. It's got a bit of the old early Commodore Cup look about it, doesn't it?
Oh, Cook's come in the lane. Cook has come in the lane, I just see on timing, from 2nd position.
Well, here's an interesting one. Here's the battle for the under 2 litres. And they're together, so Avinga now under the challenge there from Brett Waters in the Peugeot 308. Haven't got a lot of under 2 litre cars in this field, but there's 2 of them.
Battle of the hot hatches as well.
So they are going to fight it out. Somebody wants to win the under 2 litre class this weekend, and it's going to be one of these 2. Brett Waters has a very strong record here as well, also in overall state racing as far as improved production under 2 litre is concerned.
Oh.
And a finger. Oh, he gets a little bit tight there.
Waters made it through on the straight, and then back up the inside. Havinga sent it to the inside, trying to retake the place under brakes, and has done so there at turn 3 with the 308 of Waters running so very deep down there at the hairpin, although he's got a good run and will retake the place into turn number 5. The Clio of Havinga having to take to the dirty outside line there into the corner. And great exchange of positions between the two French hot hatches.
It's the French Revolution, isn't it?
Very much so.
Pretty French makes there. Terrific to see. Brentwater's very experienced campaigner. Luca Venga, fairly new to this group. He's only had a couple of race meetings under his belt, so there's a varying experience between those two drivers. They're currently overall 14th and 15th position on track. Still Paul, Tonks, Redden in that order. Jason Palmer, they're the top lot.
Cook, though, remains in the lane, has been in the lane now for 2 minutes, so he's got to get back out on the racetrack in the next minute and a half, or pretty much a minute and a half anyway, if he wants to collect any sort of points or any sort of race finish, or else he's going to record a big fat 0, which is not going to do any title hopes any good at all. So a real shame for the number 26 machine in the Nissan Silvia.
Gets Mark Kempster up a couple of spots too. Gets him up into 6th position. It's been that's Matt Wright there. I just saw that in the shot there at the end there. It looks like the Datsun is just crawling its way around again. And Norris has come in as well. Anthony Norris has come into pit lane. I just saw the Datsun come in. There it is.
There's another car out wide, I think, further back. Yeah,
that's the right car. And that's going to come to a grinding halt. Hopefully out of harm's way. And Anthony Norris, I did notice he was dropping down through the order. So he's just limped his way back to pit lane as well. Ooh, bit of a war of attrition out there at the moment.
This is interesting. Poole has not been able to pull away from Tonks in this race. The gap sits at 1 second. And in fact, Tonks took 7/10 out of the South Australians' lead last time through, a hefty chunk. But time has just ticked to 0. That means that there will only be a maximum of a couple of laps to go. But it is the South Australian that leads the number 91, the Victorian, out there on the racetrack in the 2 Holdens. These two have fought in the Victorian Championship for a number of years as well, both front runners over there in these very machines, and they're taking the fight here to South Australia this weekend. Of course, Paul, a local, but the Victorian of Tonks is taking it to him. Look at that.
Yeah.
Again, last lap, they pretty much matched each other, and Tonks gained in the straight there on Paul. Is he potentially nursing home a problem here? Paul doesn't seem that slow, but in a straight line, Tonks is gaining on him. And we're hearing it is the final lap of the race. So
I've never seen anyone so close to Paul here. He's dominated all of his races here. He's actually getting the big hurry up from Tonks, as you mentioned there.
Runs wide. Ooh. That shows he's feeling the pressure. A mistake. It's not an unforced error. That's very much a forced error from Paul down there into turn number 6. Down into the sweeping right-handers. 7, 8, 9, and 10. He's closing, but is he going to have enough time? He's got about 2.5 kilometres left. The corners are ticking by. The time is ticking by. Paul is definitely not looking as strong as he did early on in this motor race. And the number 91 is steadily closing the margin. There's just a couple of corners left now. Just a couple of overtaking opportunities. Has the number 1 of Poole, the Monaro driver, weathered the storm here in the second improved production race? He certainly dominated race number 1, but he has not had things his own way in this one. That is for certain. He's had to fight tooth and nail in these closing laps just to hold off this charge.
I've got a yellow flag flying down there. I guess that's for the Matt Wright car parked down there. Just a local yellow, and it doesn't matter because it's going to be checkered flag, and it'll be 2 out of 2 there for Adam Poole. I'm going through, and the TRP Duckworks entry gets a checkered flag. It's probably the closest competition we've ever seen him here
at
this track. Yeah, the margins.
Less than a second. Less than a second in the end.
Now, that's the Crow and Kempster combination there. And they're currently in 5th and 6th position. Kempster trying to chase down the VH Commodore there and Neil Crow. I don't think he's going to be quite close enough to pick up that position, but that car's run really strong in this race. That Magna's done a terrific job. It's probably the highest I've seen Mark Kempster actually finish here at this track. And, Crow a little bit wide there.
But the Magna's not going to be able to make a move. It's double-waved yellows at the final corner, because the recovery of right will take place shortly after this race. So no overtaking. It means that Crow holds on to position number 5. Thumbs up to the flag marshal. Kempster comes home in 6th, as you say. Great performance from him in the Magna. Another Magna on the screen makes a mistake at 17.
That's Rob Kilmartin there, and he's got the battle of the French behind him. He's got... Waters and Havinga, they've been having their own battle, and it looks like Waters will hang on to that under 2-litre victory there. And he'll get that one done. So, other ones are finished. We've got Redden that finished in 3rd position. Jason Palmer in 4th position. We just missed that one through the call. We'll come back with those results in just a moment. And then we've got the 101 car there. Peter McLean is in the Subaru BRZ, just going across the line. And the 52 car right in the back of the field there, Braden Coogan in the BMW M3.
Which rounds out all of the finishes in what you say was a real race of attrition. So here are the results then. Adam Poole taking it by just under a second in the end. Tonks came home firing late on in that one, but in the end just ran out of laps. Christopher Reddin stayed out of trouble and finished in position number 3, nearly half a minute back from the leaders. Jason Palmer finished 4th in his little BMW ahead of Neil Crow. Mark Kempster came home in 6th in his Magna ahead of Andrew Cogan, Jim Myhill, Wayne Twist, the Victorian visitor, in 9th, and Robert Kilmartin in 10th. Beyond that, in the little Peugeot, Brett Waters came home in 11th ahead of Luke Havinger, and then we have Peter McLean, Braden Cogan, and that was just the 14 finishers. Anthony Norris didn't make the finish, neither did Cook or Wright. Butcher came home at the end of the warm-up lap, and Sam Bird failed to start the motor race. So lost a few in that one, but hopefully with a few hours overnight to get them repaired, we can see a full field of improved production cars back on the track tomorrow for their final 2 races. Aussie Racing Cars South Australian Series race number 2 is up next. Then we've got the SA Tin Tops and Formula V's 3rd races of the weekend. We'll be back in a moment. Great to see a huge field of improved production cars here this weekend in South Australia. And boy, oh boy, has this state turned on the weather for us this weekend. We're expecting a top of 23 degrees in the last week of May. Absolutely fantastic. Clear blue skies, not a cloud in the sky.
A couple of stalwarts there. There's Anthony Norris and Ian Statham there. Statham not racing today, and Anthony Norris has actually become a spectator because in this field, as he is out for the rest of the week, and he's actually blown a head gasket in the Datsun, so he will not take part. That's the guy with the bucket hat there, just on our screen. And so on pole position will be the Victorian Jared Tonks. And alongside of him will be Chris Redden in the Adelaide Vehicle Centre Sylvia. Then we go back to Jason Palmer in the BMW E30. Neil Crow in the Build Lock Commodore there. That's the VH Commodore. And we go back to position 5 will be Mark Kempster. There's something different about this grid. They've changed a few things. So we go back to Andrew Coogan in the BMW M3. Jim Myhill in position 7 in the Magna. It'll be Wayne Twist in the BMW E36. We've got Rob Kilmartin in the Mitsubishi Magna, then Brett Waters, the first of the French-built under 2-litre cars there in the Peugeot 308, and then it's the Renault Clio Cup car of Luke Havinga. Pete McLean in the Subaru BRZ. Braden Coogan in the BMW, then Anthony Norris is out. Scott Cook has also got some issues, so he's going to try and start this race. Matt Wright also with issues yesterday, failed to finish in the Datsun. And Andrew Butcher will start a long way back. He was also a non-finisher yesterday in the BW M3, and the Monaro will not be Adam Paul. That will be Dean Lilly behind the wheel, and the reason because of that, because he didn't qualify in that car yesterday. Adam qualified in that car, so he'll have to start from the rear of the field. So we're going to see a big thumping 6-litre V8 Monaro hurtling his way through the back of the pack here. And good to see Dean Lilly on board here this weekend.
I just spoke to Dean just prior to the start of the commencement of racing today, and he was saying he did have a quick drive of the car in a couple of practice sessions on Friday. That's his only running in the car ever. He said it is such a beast. He says it's such a pleasure to drive this car. So watch Dean Lilly in Adam Pool's Monaro to come through the field. I'm sure Adam Pool is watching on. And he's going to enjoy watching his Monaro work its way through the field. But the number one, with a guest driver, you could say, a very experienced driver behind the wheel in Dean Lilly. But as I say, Dean was saying this car is just so easy to drive. It looks like it's on the ragged edge, but from inside the car, it's so silky smooth and a real pleasure to drive. He's loving every second, and he's going to love actually racing it now. He's only done practice laps prior to this, so this should be something a bit different. As we say, timed races in all but the 86 Scholarship Series, and out there already. The time is ticking. Quite a slow outlap, this one. Already 3 minutes has elapsed, and that is eating into the race time. But that's up to Tonks. That's entirely up to him. It's his discretion on how fast he wants to go. He will start alongside Reddin in the number 8 Nissan Silvia. It really was a Holden versus Nissan Silvia fight yesterday, and it went the way of the Holdens in the end. But, Palmer in the BMW is going to start out of position number 3. Watch for him. One of the great performances yesterday was Kempster, wasn't it, in the Mitsubishi Magna?
Very good performance. It's actually interesting to note the two cars at the back of the pack here are the two front cars that started off the front of the grid yesterday.
Yes.
That's very interesting for Scott Cook, with obviously some mechanical problems. As you mentioned there, Mark Kempster, great drive. He'd be absolutely stoked with that. And his good mate Ian Statham, who was originally entered here this weekend, is now a spectator. We just saw that on screen. And so it is Tonks and the others. So we saw a blue Silver up the front of the grid yesterday, and this time we've got a red one, and it is Chris Reddin in the Adelaide Vehicle Centre entry. I don't think Chris has seen too much front grid action in his racing career. Hasn't been racing much lately. He's been off the scene for a little while. So it's a massive opportunity. As we were talking about yesterday, the Silvias have a very good record at this track. They do perform very well. We saw that yesterday with Scott Cook in the early part of the racing yesterday.
Reps rising and we're underway. Reddin, great initial launch, but the V8 power of that Commodore is going to make him a sitting duck down towards turn number 1. In fact, he's going to have Palmer take him to the right, and he's going to have Crow take him to the left. So the Silvia already down to 4th position. Late under brakes though, retakes Crow down in towards turn number 1. But he's got hard work for himself. Look at Lilly off the start. Already well inside the top 10. Already trying to attack the number 44 of Kogan and the number 19 of Twist. He's going to go all the way around the outside, is he? No, that's not going to work. Squeezed out there a little bit from the 44 BMW, but a great run. Look at the horsepower of the number 1 Monaro. It really does show just how fast this car is, and the reason why it won the National Championship in the hands of Adam Poole. Got to have a good driver behind the wheel as well, of course.
Of course you do. Got past Mark Kempster there, the Missy Bits Magna there, so he goes up into, should be about 4th or 5th, 4th position on track with the rear of the field. Cool. I just want to see where Scott Cook has ended up to here. A fast car yesterday as well, so how his issues have panned out to the start of this race. There in the early model V-gauge Commodore, and he'll go past him, no problems. And there's the leading group just in front of him. Get lots of ways there on Dean Lilly on the Monaro. No problems. And have Chris Reddin obviously in his side in just a moment. And there it is.
Already.
So he got up behind him, and he'll get past the Silver and the BMW down this section of the track somewhere. Look, he's all over the back of Red there, and there he goes. Straight past him there, and now we have for Jason Palmer in his sights at the end. The BMW lead there. I think he'll step aside, no problems.
I can't believe the speed of this Monaro. From the back of the grid, he could even potentially take second place across the line, and will do. That's absolutely incredible. Dean Lilly in 4.95 kilometres has gone from 17th up 16 places to sit second after lap number 1. And he's not even the regular driver. He's a guest driver, and he's gone from 17th to second. He's only done 2 practice sessions. Just half an hour in the car, and he is already up to second. An incredible opening lap from Dean Lilly.
There's the battle for the French Open there. We've been calling it on the Improved Production page on Facebook.
French Open begins today.
It certainly does. So the first of the French cars there will be, I think, what is in front of Havinga there. That's the way they are. So Peugeot in front of Renault Clio there. They had a great battle yesterday too for the under 2 litre group. And down through the hairpin at turn 6. I think he's done a great job. He's fairly new to the series. Red Waters with a lot of experience. There's plenty of speed down the 8, 9, 10 part of the circuit there. The right-handers, he's done a great job. So they're overall 11th and 12th on the circuit. Obviously, they're running in the lower capacity class. And they were side by side for a bit yesterday too in that second race. Certainly game on, and it's the engineering entry there, the Peugeot 308 with number 308. That makes it easy to remember for me.
Yes.
So that's actually a number that Brett's carried for quite some time. He's raced a variety of different Peugeots during his racing career. This is a new car, pretty much a stock standard road going car. There's not a lot of modifications involved.
Of course, the Peugeot 308s race in the TCR Australia series, fielded by Gary Rogers Motorsport, and TCR will be here next weekend at the Shell V-Power Motorsport Park as a category in the Speed Series. So that should be a great weekend. But then we are back here, aren't we, commentating the Lamborghini Super Trofeo Asia Series in a fortnight's time. That's going to be a massive event here at the Shell V-Power Motorsports Park, and live streamed on Blendline TV. Not only the Trofeo Asia Series, but of course, as well as that, we've got Australian Formula Open, Australian Formula 4. We've got Australian Prototype Series, Radical Australia Cup. We've got Porsche 944s, and just to throw in the mix as well, some good old-fashioned Hyundai XL racing as well.
Just having a look at our time screen. I can't see Scott Cook out there in circulation either, unfortunately. So his issues have come back to haunt him. But let's have a look at these 2 French cars. This is for the French Open, amusingly enough. And Havinga, nice little pass here. He gets underneath, and there's a change in the overall lead. Dean really going to the front of Garrett Tonks. And that's a fair effort. Laps down, are we? 3 laps.
Incredible.
So he's done a great job from the rear of the field. Just goes to show you the power and horsepower and great engineering on that race car. He's got an outstanding record here at this track. So he gets in front of Jared Thompson, did a pretty good job yesterday in the right gun entry there.
At the end of the last lap, he was 2.3 seconds behind Thompson. He's caught him halfway through the lap and overtaken him. That is the sheer speed of that machine. As the number 47 now looks to the inside, the Peugeot defending into turn 14. Great clean racing from these two. The 308 saying you got to go the long way around. Waters is not allowing the little Clio behind to take the place that easily. The Clio and the 308, as you say, it really is the French between these two, the French Open final. Who's it going to be that prevails this weekend? Yesterday in race number 2 was the Peugeot that prevailed by just 0.4 of a second.
Yeah, they had a great battle, didn't they?
They did.
They were very close. He was there to see who's behind him. He's well clear of anybody else. And the 34 car goes through. That's Mark Kempster. Yeah, Magnus was heavily involved in the South Australian Championship.
They've come home. They've come home back to the old Mitsubishi Proving Ground back in the day.
There was a bit of a humorous made-up cup, which was called the Tonsley Cup here a few rounds ago. Tonsley Park is, of course, where the Mitsubishis were originally made here in SA, down in the southern suburbs here in Adelaide.
But we were talking about it yesterday. This was sort of a Mitsubishi Proving Ground for a number of years, wasn't it?
That's exactly right. Well, this very bit of land that we sit on, with the track is built, used to be the test track for Mitsubishi Australia. And I'll just come back to the two little French cars here. That's Waters in the 308, Peugeot 308, and Lou Gavinga in the Renault Clio there. Gee, that's a really small little lightweight hatch, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's a really nimble little thing. He's doing a great job. Remember, Luke's only fairly new to the series. He's done a lot of laps, but he's driving the wheels off that little hatchback. Great job. He's really sticking to his guns. But obviously, Brett Waters has got a lot more experience. He's been driving fairly defensively there, and he's trying to hold that position.
Brett Waters won the under 2 litre category, the under 2 litre championship here in South Australia a couple of years ago. Back then, driving a Peugeot 206 GTI. So yeah, driven a few Peugeots over the years, and looking to win the 2 litre title once again this year. Last year, that went the way of Jingwei Chen.
Gary Chen, didn't have a lot of under 2 litre cars in last year's series. Brett missed a few rounds, so he can't win for this year. He used to go into the banner of Frogstone Racing for obvious reasons. There's Jason Palmer under threat there from Chris Redden in the Adelaide Vehicle Centre entry. That's the red Sylvia we can see on screen there. We've got really close there under brakes. And they're currently in 3rd and 4th position on track, so this is for a top 3 position here to get them on the podium.
Last time through, Reddin, PB 208.8, 7/10 faster than Palmer ahead, and that is why he's close right on to the rear spoiler of the number 3 machine. Of course, a bit of a nod, tribute livery to the factory BMWs back in the day. And that Palmer machine is always immaculately presented. I said yesterday that that car was raced in Touring Car Masters, as well as an invited machine on the streets of Adelaide even last year, and various other rounds as well. So certainly gets a few racing miles, but he's run a bit wide there at turn number 12. Reddin with a really nice run in the Sylvia will have the inside for the blind crest at turn number 13, and he takes the position. Reddin moves up to 3rd ahead of Palmer. A nice move, nice clean move. Just took advantage of that little error. It was only a small error from Palmer, but it was just enough to open the door, leave it slightly ajar, and Reddin placed Sylvia in the door and took that position. These two really, though, very much by themselves out there. 19 seconds clear of Crow behind, and about 15 seconds behind Tonks in position number 2.
Palmer car, but it still runs a Stitzer engine in that too, by the way.
Oh, so does it? There you go.
It's a typical Stitzer engine that we saw in the BMW D30 performance cars. Beautiful race car. You have to get a chance out of that bonnet. You know, with all the carbon fibre underneath the bonnet. It's a terrific looking race car. He's done a great job. And I see the president of the IPRA Production Racing here in South Australia. He's the boss of the group. Here we go. That's Neil Crow under pressure, and it's going. That's Mark Kempster. The Missy Bits Magna there. Neil Crow in the early model V8 Commodore. A couple more cylinders there under the hood, so we'll have a bit more horsepower down in the front straight. And Kempster on the inside, not quite close enough there. Part-time lawnmower racer. Mark Kempster does a bit of lawnmower racing.
There you go.
Things off weekends.
There you go.
There is actually a lawnmower racing series here in SA, believe it or not.
I imagine you commentate that. You commentate everything in South Australia, Mark,
No,
I assume.
I haven't done that, but that's just an interesting fact.
That must be the only championship in South Australia you've not called with an engine. There you go. Mark has not called South Australian lawnmower racing, ladies and gentlemen.
Anyway, we'll go back to Crow in the build look entry. A nice job of presentation too of that car, that early model Commodore. It's got a bit of an old Commodore Cup look about it. There's a series from a bygone era too. And Kempster's chasing down your Crow. A couple less cylinders there in that car. Crow would have. Down the back of the circuit. This is probably Kempster's best race meeting so far. He's shown a lot of improvement in this series. Basically the spanner man for Ian Statham for quite some time. Using the toolbox doing his repair work, but turning the tables, Ian Statham this weekend is actually being a spectator after having problems yesterday. So we're also in the white Mitsubishi entry, which is not here this weekend. So they're racing, so go down, and Crow is still holding off the challenge here from Mark Kempster. Sticking to his guns, there's no problems there. This is for overall 5th and 6th position.
A little bit of a lock-up. Got it stopped, fortunately. But yeah, looks a lot faster around the back section. But
here. He's going to be close enough on the inside of 18, not quite.
Just doesn't have the horsepower, and we're going to see that to great effect down here on the pit straight. Kempster got a few top 5 finishes in the first round, but it was a lot smaller field, wasn't it? So that makes this more impressive, the fact that he is fighting for a top 5, but in a much larger field with a lot faster cars here this weekend. But look at that. In the straight, he loses 4, maybe even 5 car lengths, but he makes a fair bit of that up straight away under brakes. But I'm looking just behind at the number 44 BMW, steadily closing in on both of these two, about 3 or 4/10 second a lap, but I think may run out of time as the time has elapsed. So this will be either the final or the penultimate lap. Generally, we've gone time plus 1 lap, haven't we, this weekend? So I expect one more after this one, but I'll probably be proved wrong. What a guest performance this has been. I am hearing it is the last lap. So
they've been confirmed. So literally, look at the gap. That's amazing. Considering that he started from the right at the back of the grid, gee, it's a great combination, isn't it? And once again, the record of this race car will stay intact and take yet another victory here at this track.
3 from 3 for the Monaro. Poole taking the 2 yesterday, and Lilly from the back of the grid all the way up to take the victory, and did it with ease as well. Well over 17 seconds the margin in the end ahead of Tonks, who can only just watch that Monaro pull away. The end margin 23.4 seconds. In fact, Lilly was only lapping a couple of seconds slower than the regular driver Adam Poole, who did a 2-minute flat, or a 2-minute 0.2 yesterday. Lilly a 2-minute 2.2. Here today is his fastest time, and he's still got one more race to try and get that a little bit faster as well. If you look a bit further back for the French battle, and it is the 308 that's going a bit defensive there on the number 47 of Havinja. They're both catching up though, notably to the Mitsubishi Magna ahead.
It's Rob Kilmartin, I think, by the looks of that, that's who it is. We're going to meet him here, but this is for the under 2 litres. Just holding off the challenge there from Luca Bigger, who's done a terrific job. He's really stuck to his guns, the newer driver. Still got the P plates in the back of that hatch.
It's going to be a drag race to the line. It's going to be pretty close, but I think the Peugeot's just about got enough poke in a straight line to hold on, and does. There's actually a change on the last lap, so Waters retook that position. The number 308 retaking the little Renault Clio. The margin yesterday was 4/10. The margin today, 0.4 of a second. So exactly the same, with the 308 prevailing with a last lap overtake on the number 47 machine. The final couple of cars come through as well. Kogan in the 52 car and McLean in the BRZ Subaru. So a great race once again in improved production. Dean Lilly, the guest driver, taking a dominant victory from the back of the grid. I'll be fascinated to see what he can do later on this afternoon. Jared Tonks came home in a lonely second ahead of Christopher Reddin in the Sylvia, who made his way past Jason Palmer midway through that race. Neil Crowe came home in 5th, just ahead of Mark Kempster in the Magna. Andrew Cogan in 7th, Wayne Twist in 8th, Jim Myhill in 9th, and Robert Kilmartin, as we saw in the Magna, rounding out the top 10, just ahead of Brett Waters and Luke Havinger. Cogan and McLean rounded out the finishers. We had quite a few DNSs, all 4 of those, Norris, Cook, Wright and Butcher, all failed to make the start. So we did actually have a 100% finishing rate in that race, which is good to see. But sadly, we have lost a few over the course of the weekend so far. Look at the fans aligning the top of the grandstand, or grandstand, I should say, the pit lane facility. Give us a wave, absolutely. Yes, you are on the Blendline TV screens. Improved production, South Australian Championship.
Give us a wave. Here we are.
Hope you're enjoying yourselves here this afternoon. It is the final race of the weekend. We do have some sprints to come, but this has been a great category this weekend. And it's been dominated by the Monaro, although it's had a couple of different drivers. Yesterday it had Adam Poole behind the wheel. Today it's had Dean Lilly behind the wheel, and it's won every single race. So Lilly comes out of 1 ahead of Jared Tonks. Then we've got Christopher Reddin and Jason Palmer. So Jason Palmer in the BMW E30 comes out of 4th ahead of Neil Crowe. Mark Kempster has been a real great performer, and probably my driver of the weekend in his Mitsubishi Magna in 6th, ahead of Andrew Cogan and Wayne Twist from Victoria. Beyond that, we've got Jim Myhill in another Magna, alongside, guess what, another Magna in Robert Kilmartin. Brett Waters comes out of position number 11, ahead of Luke Havinger. It's been a all-French battle, hatchbacks fighting. We'll see them, I'm sure, in this one again. Braden Cogan in 13th, ahead of Peter McLean in his Subaru BRZ, and then the other drivers are not going to be taking the start. No Anthony Norris in his Datsun 1200, and no Andrew Butcher in his M3 either. That was a real shame that we lost those too early, and same with Scott Cook. They were all in and around the... Oh, Scott Cook is out there. Good spot from you there, Mark.
Yeah, just on the back of the tail there.
That's great.
He missed the previous race, so that's going to be interesting.
That's really
Remember
good.
that he did start on the front of the grid yesterday. So we'll be trying to weave his way through the traffic here. Definitely no Andrew Butcher car. I can actually look out my window and see that. Sadly, see that car already on the trailer, ready to head home. So let's have a look now. This time, Dean Lilly is now up the front. Remember, he started from the back of the grid of the previous race.
We're missing the number 3 in 4th position, Palmer in the BMW. It's not gone out there on the racetrack. That's not good news.
No, that's a bit sad. We finished the meeting inside the long shadows of the building here. Just getting the last few in position at the rear of the field. Keep close on Chris Redden also. See the LA vehicle centre, number 8 Sylvia just behind Dean Lilly. Sylvia to get a clean run through, and in fact Lilly's a bit tardy.
Although Palmer is there, he's just miles back on his grid box. Couldn't see from the camera angle.
Tom's got the start. Lilly was a bit slow. Didn't get away very well at all. As we mentioned, there is Jason Palmer on the inside there of Chris Redden. Got through pretty clean too. That was also a fairly clean start. So that's the Adelaide Vehicle Centre entry there on shot.
And look at that already. The 26 is up to 5th position from the back of the grid. Cook has got past already 11 cars, and he's going to be lining up his fellow Sylvia driver down in towards turn number 5. What a start from Cook. That's position 4. Make that position 3. That is an incredible start. Up to 3rd position by turn number 6. The question is, can he take the fight to the Commodore and the Monaro ahead?
I don't know whether we get the Monaro, but certainly might get the Commodore. We'll wait to find out in a minute. It's good. Oh, gee, that's Luke having you there, and the Renault Clio. He was having the battle with Brett Waters for the weekend.
Damage to the front left.
Yeah, so he's hit something or someone. Got the wheel turned the opposite direction, well, that's broken. Maybe the decision made about that in a minute. Here we go, here's the top three. It's Tonks, Lily, and then there's the blue Sylvia just behind him there, and Scott Cook.
We've just gone safety car, I can see on the timing in front of us.
I thought that might be the case. With, unfortunately, Kavinga there being parked up. And what happened there, whether he's done that at his own accord or something's actually got into him there.
I'd say with the damage, somebody's got into him. Oh, I'm not sure Cook's aware of the safety car here.
Oh, we can't do that.
That's going to be very much frowned upon. Oh, and he's going to run wide as well. He'll learn in a minute. No, oh, there, he just found out. Slams on the anchors. He'll be blissfully unaware that he's overtaken Paul there under safety car as well. So I think he'll have to readdress that one, and is doing so, I think, out of the final corner, trying to let the number one machine back through. But it's Tonks that leads after lap number one. Of course, you said Lily bogged down and did manage to get away. Of course, it's Lily's second ever start in that car, so can't expect miracles when you haven't driven the car. So he's done less than an hour of driving in this car leading into this race. He did a couple of practice sessions on Friday. Obviously let the regular driver pull behind the wheel on Saturday, but it was always known that Poole would not be able to take part this weekend on the Sunday, and so it was a double entry. It was Poole and Lily entered, so Lily
I think that
Sunday runner.
Braden Coogan has just headed towards the pits too.
Good spot, and straight in the paddock as well.
Yeah, I saw that, so that's the end of his race. Back of the field there, Brett Waters.
Yeah, you've just pointed it out. Now, those two have been fighting all weekend long, haven't they? The Peugeot and the Clio that's come to a stop. So Waters is at the back of the field. Have they potentially come together? As we are just hearing a flat tyre for the number 52, and that is the reason for that BMW to come into the lane.
Peter McLean, non-starter also. I just looked out my side window. That car is actually on the back of the trailer. So he is also a non-starter here as well.
Speaking of unbelievable cars that we can see out of the commentary box, there's a DeLorean here. We were going back to the future earlier on today outside the commentary box window, but we can see the Clio stocked there out on the circuit.
See the driver having a good look at the front of that car there, so he is certainly very concerned about something up the front of the car, and that wheel is not straight, so something's broken there. Broken suspension arm or steering arm on that car that's got a little bit too much toe in there, to say the least.
It's not what you want, is it? It's not what you want at all, but real shame. He came home 4/10 behind the under 2 litre class winner earlier on. Here's what happened.
Let's have a look. We've got a replay here. Can we pick something up here in the background? Oh, there's car sideways. Oh, that was... Oh, and that explains the flat tyre on the Coogan car, because he's clobbered Havinga there on the side, and that's the reason he's got the front damage on that wheel, and that explains the whole lot right there. And
so it looked to me like the Clio of Havinga went in far too deep, ran in hot, lost the rear end, and slid back into the path of the innocent Coogan. So it was sort of his own doing that he's got the suspension damage, just in too hot, slid out wide, and came back into the side of the BMW. And as you say, that's what's given the BMW that rear puncture.
And certainly can see that as clear as a bell. We can see the tilt tray down there at turn 6. Obviously that car's not going to be very mobile on all fours, so I'm not going to roll very constant. I'll just drag it up the back of the tilt tray. Recovery is usually pretty quick here, so we shouldn't waste too many laps here. Here's another look at it. Have a close look. Just catch the blue car going sideways there. And, just both cars are actually sideways. Both cars just straight at the same time, and Coogan has got into the side of the Clio there. So, interesting little spot to be doing that, anyway. Both cars out of the race, so
a real shame.
That's going to be the end of the French Open there. That's been an ingoing house joke so far for the weekend with the two French cars.
Well, the final has been won in that case by Waters in the Peugeot 308. So congratulations on your French Open title. But this is not played on clay. This is played on tarmac here at the Shell V-Power Motorsports Park. It's been a real event of attrition for the South Australian Improved Production category this weekend. We started with 20 cars at the start of the weekend. They've slowly been whittled away. We're meant to have 17 start this one. We only actually had 14 start, and we've lost 2 already. So we've nearly lost half the field from the start of race 1, down from 20 to just 12, which is a real shame. But it's so good to see a huge field of improved production. It's such a popular category.
It certainly is. Interesting to note with the safety car now, this gets Scott Cook nice and close to the old Jared Tonks. And he takes the bit of hard work out of the equation there. And you can see the damage there. That wheel hanging to complete the wrong direction. And that's got a broken steering arm on that car, I would suggest. Big thanks to our officials and volunteers for this meeting. We're a bit short online in the week, and we do thank you for having us along. And of course, it was actually National Volunteers Week this week as well.
Indeed.
And so good to have them on board. Plenty of flags have been waved over the weekend here. And unfortunately, it's another yellow. There is a technique in waving a yellow flag. We're all trained how to wave them properly. I'm not joking, I'm serious. And holding a safety car board, thank you.
So yeah, it's really good to see that the officials and volunteers, so many of them here this weekend. Without them, we could not go motor racing. So thank you ever so much around the circuit, wherever you are, for what you have done, not only this weekend, but over the years as well. National Volunteers Week, and rightfully so. I think it's great that they get a week in the spotlight, and we say thank you anyway, but a big thank you particularly this week. So, bit of a reset then. Tonks leads in the Holden Commodore ahead of Cook, but there is no doubt about it, Mark. Cook overtook Lilly under safety car.
Yeah, no doubt about that. So that'll be certainly talked about post-race. Safety car in this lap. So, yes, Tonks has got 2 fire breathers right behind him. And they're now going to be real close here on the restart. It's going to be up to Tonks whether he backs it up a little bit slower or just keeps a bit of a steady pace going here as they head towards the green. Having a good look in the mirror to see where his competition is at the moment. Just firstly going to bring Dean Lilly nice and close also. So when his safety car lights will be switched off in just a moment. Great work by our recovery crew down there. That was very quick.
Certainly was.
Got rid of that wounded car down there very quickly. Here we go, lights out. So what can Tonks do here? Can he hold the challenge off? So get towards the end of this race. Let's have a look. He comes around the final turn. Away from that 17 on the end, and he's going to back it right up here. Keep very close on that Monaro, especially down the straight. That's where his strongest point of the track is. He's going to get past the 2 in front of him.
When's Tonks going to go?
Got to go sooner or later. And now he's away. Let's have a look at a piece of close on Lilly there on the outside there of Scott Cook. I reckon he's going to get past him quite comfortably. He should have been in that position anyway. You mentioned there was Scott Cook passing under the safety car board there.
It's on further back.
Oh, that was contact between Red and Crow there.
Great pass.
A bit too tight. Anyway, he might come back on him here. And he has done that, so get back that position.
Crow made his way past both Reddin and Kempster down into turn 1, but as you say, it's the Sylvia that responds into turn 3 to retake that position, but Kempster is the one that has lost out, losing 1 place there down to position number 7. It's on for the race lead. Dean Lilly around the outside of the number 91 machine, around the never-ending sequence of right-handers. You don't want to be there, particularly in an improved production car. And at this time of the day as well, this time of the weekend, there'll be so many marbles offline as well. It'll make it even more tricky. Tonks running slightly wider, little twitch of oversteer, and that's all the invitation that Dean Lilly needs up the inside, and takes the lead into turn number 13, the guest driver. He is such a great racer. He's raced in so many national categories over the years, and he's found his way to the front here in the South Australian Improved Production Series. Great pass from him, and now it's going to be the fight for second between Tonks and Cook.
Let's have a look. Under brakes here, Scott Cook in the 26 Sylvia. Oxford entry there.
A bit of curve. Through outside.
Too much curve, I think.
Yeah.
Line there at 17. Now in a straight line might be a different story. Obviously a bit of V8 power in the Commodore there down the main straight. Draw away from Sylvia. Down through this section of the track. Gee, someone else has left a bit of dust behind. Not too sure who that was. Down there on the final turn. I think he's just put in his fastest lap too. We just saw that come on the bottom of our screen. Jason Palmer under attack there. Looks like Chris Redden behind him.
It's going to be a short, sharp final race, this one, because so many laps are under safety car. We are about to elapse on time, so it'll be this lap plus one, most likely, as up the inside comes Kogan. That car, sorry, it's the other Kogan BMW. I was getting confused then. I thought that car's back out on the track. No, it's the other Kogan BMW. A really nice move there from the number 44 driver of Andrew Kogan.
Yeah, they're actually two identical cars.
Yeah.
If it didn't have numbers on, we'd have no idea. Absolutely twins they are. And the BMW there, Wayne Twist behind him. There's another long-time Victorian competitor here this weekend. So he's a little bit further back. Twist actually in over a 8th position on track. And also in that, we've got the two Batman Magnus also behind them there. So you've got Phil Martin on shot. And you should have Jim Nye also in that group, coming out of the sun glare there.
It's the Peugeot off. The Peugeot's gone off down at the back section of the course. Is there a problem for the little French hatchback? We might have no finishers in the all-French affair, but no, it looks like he's going to drive it back on. Just an unforced error down there at turn 8.
They ran a brake pedal down there. Here we go. Now it is Tonks under the pump here from Scott Cook. Currently Tonks in second position on track from Scott Cook. And he's gone a little bit wide there again. Put him out there again. They're at 17.
But this is where the Commodore comes into its own in the straight line. Watch the number 91 pull away. The Sylvia is right there, right on the boot lid. Couldn't have been any closer, and it's 6, maybe even 7 car lengths as they get down towards turn number 1. That car, though, the Newlon-sponsored Sylvia, will catch up down into into the bottom section of the course as we see the other Sylvia looking up the inside of Palmer down into turn number 1. Number 8 machine, the Adelaide Vehicle Centre Sylvia on the tail of the BMW E30. As we mentioned earlier, in the proper BMW factory Schnitzer livery colours. Nice exit from Reddin there. You spoke to Reddin a bit earlier. What was he saying about his weekend so far?
He's loving it. He hasn't raced for about 18 months, so he's been out of the seat for a little while, and he's done well. He's been up near the pointy end of the field.
Certainly
and
has.
He's certainly trying to get past Jason Palmer there. These cars, aren't they? They've got that hard to really separate them at the moment as far as pace is concerned.
I know what you mean. They're similar in pace, but they're quite similar actual vehicles.
They are.
One German, one Japanese. But yeah, they achieve their pace in the same way as well, don't they? They're nice, agile, nimble machines, not like the big V8 machines we see at the front of the field.
There should be checkered flag here at the moment. Car 26 will get a time penalty and then be confirmed overtaking under the safety car conditions there.
Yeah, I think that was inevitable.
Certainly picked that one out, no problems. So Scott Cook will go back a couple of positions at the completion of this race. Putting up probably Jason Palmer and Chris Redden in front of him. Work that out towards in the official results. And that will be Dean Lilly to go through. Should be checkered flag, and there it is, and he will take 2 race victories in that car today. Yesterday.
2-minute 1.5 as well, so that is only 1.5 seconds slower than, 1.3 seconds slower than what Adam Paul did. Palmer does bring it home in 3rd position, ahead of, 4th position ahead of Reddin. The margin
might be 3rd position.
Depends how long. We haven't heard how long the actual penalty is. If it's 5 seconds, they'll be still behind. If it's 10 seconds, it'll be still the same. So just depends how long the Cook penalty is. So at this stage, Cook, we'll say, is position number 3. Finished 12 seconds clear of Palmer and Reddin. So as long as it's not a 15-second penalty, should remain in 3rd. Although a safety car infringement like that is heavily frowned upon and could very well be a 15-second penalty.
Brett Waters, the last one to go across the line there. So that's been confirmed that will be a 5-second penalty. We just heard the message just come through.
So that means Cook will retain the 3rd position, and it's been altered in timing. So there is confirmation. Dean Lilly, Tonks and Cook rounding out the top 3.
And there they are with Jason Palmer just behind them. Chris Redd and Neil Crow. He's had a pretty good weekend too. Got in front of Mark Kempster there. They've had a pretty good battle over the weekend. Andrew Cogan, Wayne Twist. Jim Mile got back himself inside the top 10. Back in one of the Magners there. We haven't seen too much of Jim on the camera this weekend. Then we go back to Rod Kilmartin, Brett Waters, and then unfortunately Luke Havinga didn't finish with that incident down at turn 6.